I had clients pay me $1,000 for a haircut. I had a guy ask for a consultation that I charged $1,500. There is money in the industry. We're just too afraid. I always say skill set first, branding second.
Meet Alexi Michael, turned his last $100 into $1 million brand by mastering luxurious fades and thinking bigger.
I'm telling you, you'll be able to make money like this. You go through your contact list. Everyone has at least 300 names in their contacts. You go free haircut this week to everybody. When you cut their hair, you get their information and you tell them, I'm giving you a discount for the next one. It's going to be $25. Bro, in 2 months, you're fully booked. But the problem is no one's willing to do it. I actually sold a garment to Balvin at the time. I just messaged him on Instagram, cold DM, just hit him up. I'm like, dude, I got this thing. I would love to send it to you. He's like, absolutely. I'm like, dude, I got 200 followers.
You've been cutting someone's hair for 2 years and they decide to leave you for another barber. How do you handle it?
I would message them.
Welcome back to the show, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you guys subscribe, like this video. Guys, actually subscribe because so many of you watch this and you're not subscribed. It breaks my heart because I love you guys. We're here doing the pod for you guys, okay? Today, we got probably the most viral barber right now, I would say. Because I've been watching you for 6-7 months now. You've grown tremendously, okay? Alexi Michael, we got him.
What's up, people?
He's in Toronto. Even though he's not happy to be here, I'm happy to have him.
Oh,
here.
we'll go off about that in a minute. Yeah.
My man, thank you for coming.
Of course, bro. Thanks for having me.
Of course. For anyone that might not know who you are, give us a little bit of a background intro as to who you are.
Yeah. So originally, I'm actually not from Toronto. Originally from Montreal.
Okay.
Moved here about 10 years ago. I have a pretty crazy story. Initially I wasn't I didn't think I was going to become a barber. Okay. You know what I mean? I was always into fashion. I was always an entrepreneur. I would sell literally, I would buy clothes from eBay and sell them when skinny jeans weren't really a thing. Mm-hmm. I would also do some, people don't know this, but I used to even scam through Grail back in the day because I needed some cash. I was like, I'd do whatever it takes.
Okay.
I used to buy these fake shoes, fake clothes.
Yeah.
Then literally put it onto Grail, then try to sell it. So I was always somewhat of an entrepreneur, right? Mm-hmm. That didn't obviously work out for me. I got shut down after 3 weeks. But
I imagine.
Yeah, man, I was always passionate about hair, but I never thought I wanted to be a barber. I remember when I was about 15, 16, I would look onto YouTube. I would go on YouTube, look at the biggest YouTubers that would do hair, and I would look into their products. I would always be passionate about what products I wanted to use for my own hair. Okay. Just because I would style them. I would spend 20 to 30 minutes styling my own hair.
Okay.
And then eventually, I started getting more passionate about it. I started going to these salons because the issue I had, I liked longer styles rather than just fades. Okay. But I don't know if you know, but barbers really don't, back in the day as well, didn't really know how to use scissors. Yep. So it would be tough for me to go to a barber, ask for a specific haircut, be a little bit more of a creative haircut. Okay. So I'd end up going to a salon. But then I also like aspects of the barbering, right? I like the beard trims they did. I like the sharper lines, which the salons never did as well, right? So it was kind of this, it was a tough thing for me to figure out and find someone that was able to do both. Okay. But I remember being 14, 15, having the only $100 in my bank account. I would end up spending it all on a haircut. Wow. From a stylist. Okay. So I was always passionate about it.
But what was that passion from? Was it family? Was it things that you mentioned YouTube a lot too,
yeah.
But where did that passion come from, you think?
I think it came from the clothes. I think I was so passionate about styles and fashion that it led to the whole package. Okay. But I didn't want to just spend money and dress well. I wanted to be able to also smell good and also style my hair. So I think it was the whole package. It wasn't just one thing. Okay.
So you kind of saw the two aspects. You're like, I like this stuff of the barber side. I like this side of the hairstyling side, yes, but no one's doing it. Exactly. And at that point, when you're thinking that you didn't cut yet, you weren't cutting.
No, not at all. Yeah.
So when do you start cutting yourself?
Yeah, so 14, 15 years old, I had some traumatic experience. My mother got stage 4 cancer. So for about a year, she was diagnosed. She wasn't doing too well, and they told her she had about 6 months. She ended up lasting another 6 months. She had a whole year. She passed away. And then, a year later, my father left me, got into a relationship, and was like, I'm going to do my own thing. Wow. So it led to me being in a really, really tough time in my life and really figuring out, okay, what do I want to do next? Mm-hmm. And that's when I started thinking, I was like, what do I like? What do I enjoy? I did the clothing line. So I launched this clothing line. I actually sold a garment to J Balvin at the time, which was crazy to me. I just like messaged him on Instagram, cold DM, just hit him up. I'm like, dude, I got this thing. I would love to send it to you. He's like, absolutely. I'm like, dude, I got like 200 followers.
I was going to ask, how big was your page?
About 100 followers.
Oh my God.
But I think it was the design of it. So at the time, not many people know this, but at the time I would like message people from on, I'm trying to think, what was the website? I think it was actually eBay as well.
Okay.
It was like this Indian supplier, and I ended up sending him like ideas of other brands that I liked to package it all together. I didn't have any design experience. I don't know how to draw, but I'm like, I like this piece. I like that piece. Can you put this thing together? And they did, and that was kind of the launch of my first brand. Sick. But I'm sure you know, like it's very tough to have a clothing line. You need capital, and at the time I wasn't making money. So after a month, I had to shut it down. And the garments I was buying were about 500 to 600. So I had to sell them for like $3,000 for it to make sense. But funny enough, I send it to J Balvin. I'm like, bro, can you promote it? Never promoted it.
Wow.
It was in Miami as well. I remember I was like 17. So at that time, I was like, okay, this isn't really working out for me. I need the money to do this. So then the next stage for me was, all right, like, what do I like? What do I enjoy? I was like, well, I've been, so passionate about styling my own hair. So I asked a very close friend of mine that I used to go get haircuts by. I was like, look, dude, I'm thinking about doing this, but I don't know where to start. He's like, do the opposite of what I've done. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, go to school for it. And the reason why is because most barbers are like YouTube barbers. They'll learn from YouTube and then they'll start working at a shop. That's traditionally how it works. Yeah. So there was a school in Montreal that I went to learn a bit more on the styling aspect. Didn't learn shit. I remember the teacher as well, Italian guy, was like, to be honest, dude, I think you should switch careers because of how bad I was. Like, genuinely, I was like one of the worst barbers.
This guy said, don't even do it.
He's like, bro, don't even try. He's like, don't even try. So, and I ended up passing somehow. I think he just wanted to get rid of me 6 months later. So I got the certificate. Then I started working at a Cuban shop. So the first shop I worked at was like $20 fades, 20 haircuts a day, 7 days a week.
Just like a machine.
Machine, bro, just cutting. But I loved it because it was like somewhat, it's still related to some of the aspects that I was passionate about, which is like the fashion stuff, right? There's some level of creativity and art to it. True. Even though I always say this, a lot of people like look up to me now. It's like, bro, you're such an artist. I'm like, dude, I failed in art class. I'm not an artist. It's just I was passionate about this thing. So fast forward, I did that for about a year. Okay. And then, some crazy shit happened as well after that. Yeah.
What do you mean crazy shit?
So that was like the pivotal point, right?
So you're working there for a year?
Yeah. So Cuban barbershop, 20 haircuts a day.
And hold on, let me stop you quick. When you start working there, do you have it in your mind that this is going to be temporary and then you're going to move on to something bigger already?
No, definitely not. At that point, I'm like, this is
my money. This is my money.
Is this it?
Okay.
So $20 haircuts, 20 haircuts a day, I still was barely making money. By the time I give the commission to the barbershop, by the time I pay rent, there's nothing left. Yeah. And I'm in Montreal at this point. Laval, for some people that don't know. So I worked there for about a year. And in my head, I'm like, I was praying and hoping that this wasn't it. Because I didn't like the idea of just clippers all day and doing the same goddamn fucking haircut, like fades all day. It's tiring. It's not that creative. At some point, you're just like, it's repetitive, right? And the money was not, I wasn't making that much money and I was putting a lot of work. But again, I didn't know any better. It's not like I was like upset over it. I was like, this is it. I guess this is going to be my life. Yeah. Then I'm on Instagram one day. This is when Instagram was kind of becoming a thing. And I look at it on Instagram and I see this Instagram video of this guy cutting hair with scissors in England. And he's doing the exact style that I've always wanted to do, which is like the blend between like traditional fades and the blend between modern styling and hair cutting. Okay. So this guy on Instagram is doing the most beautiful haircut, the most beautiful style. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It was like Pandora's box. My eyes were like blown away. I got hooked that day. I think I watched like all their content, studied all their content. And then I bring it up to the boss I was working at the Cuban shop. I'm like, what do you think of this? He's like, dude, it's Photoshop. Like, that's not real. Like, don't believe it. I'm like, how is that Photoshopped? It's Instagram videos. Like, how is that Photoshop? Hair. It's hair. Yeah. How could it be Photoshopped? Yeah. So I didn't believe him. And then I said, you know what? I'm at this point. It's like, I still am miserable. I don't know like what I really want to do. But I had such a strong gut feeling of like, this has to be the way. This has to be the next stage of my life. Yeah. At the time, I probably had maybe $500 to my name. I had, I barely was making money. I was spending it all on like my lifestyle, which wasn't crazy. And I looked into this. So I looked into this program, which was in England, this course, which was like 5 days. I was like, I wanted to do it, but I didn't have the means to do it, right? So I was like, all right, what is the next step? So I asked my family, I told my family and like my cousins and uncles, I was like, I want to do this, but what's your thoughts? He's like, they were all telling me not to do it. They're like, don't do it. You don't have the money. Save some money before you do it. I'm like, no, like this, I have to do this. I have to do this now. They're like, wait 2-3 weeks, wait a month, 2 months. And this was the first time they launched this program.
Okay.
So I go to the bank. I'm like, do you guys have any credit cards I could get that are available? He's like, yeah, we'll give you one that's 5,000. I'm like, perfect. That's all it's gonna cost anyways. Dropped it all on the credit card. Went to London, and honestly, that was the biggest pivotal point of my life.
That changed everything.
That changed everything.
Your eyes were wide open.
My eyes were like it made me realize how bad I was at cutting hair, and realize the gap of where I needed to be. And the craziest thing was I was able to see the level of barbering that I wanted to be in, right? And not only that, I seen like 18, 19-year-olds go on stage talking in front of 500 to 1,000 people. And that's what like really blew my mind, because I was an introvert. Naturally, I'm an introvert, right? So I was like, I didn't like the fact that I was an introvert. And that was just a vehicle that I was going to be able to choose to be able to like speak and get my confidence that I didn't have.
I think that's pivotal for you, because and this happens a lot with people. I think this even happened to me and Anthony. When you leave your hometown and you go across the world somewhere, your eyes open up. You know, like you start to see, well, that hairstylist is doing that, so why can't I do that? This guy's 20, I'm 25.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And you start to put the pieces together, and then you come back here and you're like, no, you guys got it wrong here. Right? So I'm happy you made that trip. I think a lot of people, when they're in that funk, they need to get out of this country. Go somewhere. Go experience some new culture, meet some new people, and you're going to have a different mindset.
100%.
And there's another key point that you mentioned, is when you were asking your family members. Hey, what should I do here? Hey, what should I do? Sometimes we're asking them because they're our family.
And sometimes they're playing it safe. Like they don't know any better. It's based off their beliefs, right? And sometimes in that case, they were wrong, right? Because it ended up becoming the best decision of my life. But it doesn't come from a place of like them. They're coming from a place of safety because they don't know any better.
It's good intention, right? But the problem is that, and what I've seen a lot, right? Personally and with other people in my life, is like they'll listen to the family. And then their whole life changes.
100%.
For not the best.
100%.
Right? And again, it was because of good intention, this and that. But, you know, how hard was it for you to say, I'm not going to listen to them right now?
That was probably one of the toughest decisions, because I really valued their opinion. And I come from an Armenian background where family's really tight, like Italians, right?
Of course.
Family's really close to me. So to go against, and you know what? Finally, I felt I built the confidence enough to tell them no, which was also another pivotal point. I was like, wow, I just made a decision for myself, not making it for them, which that's kind of been my whole life. Every decision I had made was based off of what they told me. So that was the first step in me being like, okay, like now I have a little bit more control over my life. And then when I went to London, this is where the story gets crazier. I met these two individuals. They have a very, very successful business called Glassbox. So I ended up getting an opportunity there. So when I went there, these two guys were from Toronto, asked me if I wanted to come to Toronto and work for them. So it's
while you're in
London. While I'm in London. And this is another thing that's important to understand, is when I went to England, I got really close with those people. And by the way, those people, they're called Menspire. They are the biggest global brand for hair in the world.
Wow, they do conferences around?
Bro, like internationally. They got 25, 27 salons, like worldwide. They're like the biggest name in hair. But back then, they were like one boutique shop.
Wow.
You know, so they were like kind of a nobody. They had a bit of a name, but it's crazy to say, like, I got very fortunate that I went at the perfect time and I was able to learn all these skills from, 10 years ago, when now people are learning them at this point.
And I think too, even to add to that before we move on, is like when people make these big life decisions, like you were making, like I've made in the past too, your gut comes first. Everything else comes second. Your family, your friends, that's all bonus stuff. That's just to say, what do you think about this? Let me see. What do you think about? Let me see. But the decision should be made
from the gut.
And
if you're scared to make that decision, do this, make it.
There you go.
Usually the gut will tell you. It's like you said, if there's a lot of fear built built in, then you have to make that decision.
Of course.
The fear means that there's going to be growth on the other side.
And I also saw this thing where it's like you're not. Anxiety is when you're actually so excited you're about to do something that your body is like you start tripping out because you're so excited that you're scared.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Okay, so continue the story. So you start working with these guys.
So
biggest in the world.
Yes, but at the same time, I got humbled again. Not that I hadn't built enough confidence, but I got humbled because I was like, okay, I want to be this educator. I want to be on this stage. And I got really close with this group of people. Within the 4 days, they're like, Alex, come to Ireland with us. So I'm like, okay, they had this massive show. In my head, I was like, after the 5 days, I'm like, I'm the man. I learned all these skills. So they put me to the test. They put me on stage as a model, right? So I'm getting a haircut at this point because they needed a model. And they throw the mic at me and they're like, Alex, talk about the experience being at Men's Fire. Dude, you would not believe. I wasn't expecting it. I literally froze for like a minute and a half straight. I don't know why no one grabbed the mic out of my hands.
Oh my God.
For a minute and a half, I was like, in front of 500 to 1,000 people. So that was the first time. And that was a very good lesson for me. I'm so thankful because I hated that I felt that way, especially in front of my peers, people that I looked up to. And that was a big reason of like, no, I got to become really good as an educator.
You needed that failure, bro.
100%.
And it's better to do
and it kept happening. It wasn't like that was the only time.
But bro, you're learning each time.
Yes.
Right? Exactly. Now you're on stages.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got humbled nicely.
Yeah.
But there's actually a question I have for you is the education side.
Right.
Because you don't have a shop.
I do actually.
You have a shop.
Barbershop.
Okay, I didn't even know about that.
College, yeah.
You don't really.
I don't really promote it that much, or I don't really go there. Yeah.
Okay,
it's kind of self-sufficient. It runs on itself.
So it's more like an investment, I would say, right?
Yeah.
So I think from a while now, you were way more interested in actually educating than cutting. Correct. Which I think a lot of people, they don't go that route, which I'm confused about, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you guys can teach instead of cut.
It has to be the next stage, in my opinion.
Okay.
At some point, like, I feel like it's somewhat selfish to keep it to yourself. Like, I find the most fulfillment in my life is always being able to have a hand in someone's growth.
Okay.
I truly feel that, to me, is the most fulfilling. Like, I've made a lot of money in my life. Like, obviously, I haven't made hundreds of millions, but you know, I've always felt the most fulfillment is someone coming back to me and be like, dude, thank you so much. This has genuinely helped me so much in my life.
Yeah.
That feeling overshadows any feeling of me getting paid a lot of money.
Yeah. And I think with education, you have this volume of impact where it's like, okay, if I have a shop and I have 10 guys coming that day, the most I can impact is those 10 guys.
Exactly.
But if I'm on a stage with 1,000 people,
Yeah.
for less time, I can impact more.
100%.
And that's the fulfillment. Same with me, like when people message us about the pod or, hey, I watched this, it changed my life. That's what keeps us going.
100%.
Right? So go on though. But I think the education is, like you said, it's like, it has to go that direction.
Like at the end of the day, like you get really good, you invest all your money in your skill set. Like, what is the next step? Do you keep it to yourself or do you build other people up with you?
Yeah.
Right? Because like a mission of mine, and I'll go back to the story, is like I genuinely feel like our industry, the barbering world, is so behind.
Yeah, it is.
Why I say that is because you still got barbers investing all this money, learning all these skill sets, charging like $30 to $40. When you go to a nail salon and they're $100, you go to all these different practices and they're charging way more money.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to discredit them, but I feel like our industry, especially to the ones that are investing all this money to learn these skill sets, there's still such a big gap of where, you know, men are willing to pay these prices versus what we're really charging. Yeah. And it comes down to barbers, in my opinion, not clients, undercutting everyone, thinking like, let me charge less, get more.
To beat that guy across the street.
When it's like, that's like a race to the bottom.
Literally,
you're not gonna end up,
everyone just keeps cutting.
You just don't realize that you're not going to end up making more by doing that.
So you're a strong believer in like charge your value.
100%.
Right. And I think
and clients will pay it if they see it. Right.
100. And I think, what's your thoughts on this? Like in terms of raising your price or the amount that you're charging, do you think it has to do with the city you're in too?
Definitely not.
Okay.
No, I think it's all coming down to branding. It's funny. We just had this conversation. Yeah. You're like, we relocated to this area because we didn't need to, right? Your brand is established enough where you don't have to be at a specific location. True. I bet even if you were an hour away, nothing would really change.
True.
So it's the same thing. I always say skill set first, branding second.
Okay.
Once your skill set is good enough, the value through obviously showcasing through your brand will be there where clients would be willing to drive an hour to 2 hours to come see you. Like I had a client come every 2 weeks, drive 4 hours to come for a haircut.
Wow.
I had clients pay me $1,000 for a haircut. I had a guy ask for a consultation that I charged, $1,500.
Wow.
The reason why I say this is not to boost, but there is money in the industry.
Yep.
We're just too afraid. I think a lot of it comes down to the fear of not really seeing their own value.
You have to have confidence in your pricing.
Yes.
So let's talk about the community that you have built, because I think it's super impressive. We're big in communities right now. A lot of people asking us about questions, this and that. We have a school community too.
Nice.
So we've been building that. But, I've kept an eye on yours. Yours is growing a lot. And I don't really know too many people in that niche on school or that have a community. So what was the thought process in starting this community?
Yeah. It was actually during COVID.
Okay.
So we got actually screwed pretty hard. We opened the shop. Like, you know how they say, like usually the toughest times is when the biggest businesses get built.
Yeah.
To be honest, it was kind of a little bit the opposite for me.
Okay.
We opened the shop during COVID thinking that it was the last draw. Like it was the last time we were going to get shut down. And then we opened like 3 months in, we got shut down for 8 months. So there was no clause for me to not have to pay rent. So I was having to pay rent while the doors were kind of shut, even though I was cutting hair behind the doors. But so at that point, I'm like, look, I'm not going to twiddle my thumb for 8 months. I'm like, I felt like with the education side, I was limited. I was like, I've been teaching, internationally. I've been teaching locally, and I could only get so many people in a class. And I had built a pretty big name internationally where people had known me and recognized me through my socials, where I'm like, okay, what is the next step? And no one had been doing online education at that point. So I started, that's when the school community came, right? So we transitioned into building this, like it was a subscription-based model initially. And then we realized a lot of people were hitting us up being like, I want to learn more about the marketing. I want to learn more about the business. I want to learn more about how you got to the position you got to, which is building the shop and building people up. So then we turned it into a mentorship, so a coaching business.
Okay.
And it's crazy. I think we were like the quickest to grow within a span of like 8 months. We went from 0 to 400 students within 6 months, and we're about like close to 750 now.
Yeah.
And the model changed. But I think, talking about community, I think the biggest businesses are really based off of that, especially now. If you look at the biggest brands represent, I think, what I noticed, I saw a shift in the market when it comes to businesses, and the ones that have really done the best. I mean, we see Jeff Gloria do it a lot with these run clubs, these coffee shops, because it's all based off of that. Why? Is because you're building relationships, and the stronger the relationships are with your community, dude, at that point, they'll buy anything.
Yep.
Right? So I think it's the intention of like why you want to do it. Like you got to do it ethically. Like for me, like again, I'm throwing an event in Texas in literally 2 weeks where we rented this fucking mega mansion, and everyone from my community, like my program, is going to be able to come to that event.
Yep.
And I think the intention behind it is just like I said, building stronger relationships. I've had many coaches, many mentors that have done, 8 to 9 figure entrepreneurs. And they all say that one thing. They're like, build real relationships, build a community, and then throw events. That's kind of the main thing that they keep
Communities are like the next best thing.
Yes.
Everyone's going to do one.
Yeah.
If you're a fucking law firm,
Literally,
you're going to start building a community.
At least you should if you're not doing it. Yeah.
And the in-person stuff is so huge. We do a lot of it too. And it's because for the last 5 years, people have missed out on that physical touch. They're tired of online. They want access.
Exactly.
They're in your community because they want access to you.
100%.
And now you're way better in their eyes than another barber online because they know you.
Yeah.
They're saying, well, I fuck with Alexi because I actually talked to him.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you won, right? So it's like communities are going to be huge. But my question is like, how have you been able to grow it so fast? Because it's not easy to grow a community.
Yeah.
Right. But you've been able, like you said, one of the fastest growing communities.
Yeah.
What do you attest the growth to? What are you doing in the community that's making people A, stay, and B, get more members as well?
Dude, I think it's one thing. And it's funny. I thought about it right away, which is like the product. Make the product so good that they just talk about it.
Yeah.
We have a pretty big referral system. Like a lot of people refer a lot of other barbers about us. But the other thing as well is like our coaches are just like genuinely caring about these people. They're on one-on-one calls in the community. Like it's on fire. Every day people are posting wins. Every day there's we've built a community where it's self-sufficient, self-reliant, where our coaches could literally take a vacation for a month.
Wow.
And there'll be people in the community helping other barbers at different levels.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to build.
Of course.
You want to build a system where everyone genuinely cares about people in their, like, you know, in their community, where they're willing to help regardless of if there is any compensation for it.
True.
And that's what we've been able to do. You want to build this like system where
It's like they're all coaches now.
Exactly. You said it.
So let's say, you know, I'm a barber right now. I'm watching this episode.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you like, I like this guy. I want to be like this guy. Maybe I'll join his community. What can I expect if I'm joining your community?
Just pure. I mean, this is what I like to say. There's no guarantee, right? But I will say this much. You will never, ever find the level of support that we have from people that are in a position you want to be in. From myself, all the coaches, we do full audits on them. They're business owners, they're actual coaches, and they're educators as well.
Okay.
Like they've already been in classes, taught a lot of people, and they have over 10 years of experience. Okay. You will not find, like, go and do your research. You will never find this level of support with these people or the type of coaches that we hire.
True.
And the reason why, it comes down to the main thing, it's product.
Okay.
We have the best product because we care about the product. We want to make sure that when people come in, they're getting what they're paying for.
Okay. And these coaches that you're talking about, are they all niched differently? Like, is one better in marketing and then one can help you with this more?
Yeah, so not technically. They're all supposed to be good at everything.
Sick.
If they're supposed to be coaches, they have to be good at everything. But the funny part is they're all kind of spread around the world. So I got one guy in Malaysia, one guy in Europe, one guy in Canada, and then a few guys in the US. So yeah.
They probably bring all their cultures though. It's probably sick.
That's why it's amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So the community's growing. This is kind of like your bread and butter now.
Yeah.
And then you have the shop still.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to know, like, do you think there's a future in building multiple shops?
Yeah, it's funny. This is a topic, a conversation that a lot of barbers want to know. There's a lot of people that want to know if there's if the model of opening a shop and franchising it is the way to go. I think, look, if I genuinely cared enough of doing that, I'm sure I would have been able to make it successful, but I don't believe, and this is why I'm also not I'm in the process of closing down my shop.
Okay.
Because it's ethics. Like, if I genuinely wanted to, I could let that business run. But truthfully, my passion isn't in it. And I would rather put all my effort into this one business and grow that before I think about anything else.
Of course.
So to your point, I do believe there's a way for you to build a business in a sense of like opening shops and having multiple of them. I just find what's difficult is I've noticed with like barbers opening barbershops. What they don't realize, when you open a barbershop, you're opening a business. So what tends to happen is these barbers go and open these barbershops and they pretty much just hire themselves as employees. They don't realize that running a business requires way more skills than just being good at cutting hair. You need to be a good leader. You need to understand marketing, and marketing doesn't just mean haircut videos, like marketing to an emotional level. You need to understand the finances. You need to understand like where to hire, how to hire, when to fire. Like all these things, you can't just be good at barbering to be able to be able to run a business.
No, it's a great point. I think you nailed it. Like, a lot of guys are like, okay, well, I can cut hair. Let me open up a 500 square foot shop and I'll be the guy cutting hair, right?
100%.
But then there's no business behind that. You could have just done that in your house.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's what I recommend. I'm like, this is what I like to say. There's two routes for a barber, in my opinion. One, you go the suite route.
Yeah.
So obviously you work at a barbershop. Usually that's how it goes, right?
Okay.
Once you get past that point, you have kind of two options, in my opinion. You could go the route of like opening a business, or you go the route of renting a chair. You're kind of operating in your own business without any teams.
True.
So you're just profiting as much.
Okay.
What people don't realize is that everyone, depends on what you're optimizing for, but this route, the entrepreneurial route, you have to be willing to sacrifice a lot of money and not be profitable for a very long time, because you have to heavily invest in your business, meaning you have to truly care about the people in your business and care about your business as well, where you're willing to not make money for the first few years, right? This route, if you want the least amount of headaches, the most amount of profit, and maybe there's pros and cons for everything. The problem is you're trapped with time. The only time you'll make money is if you're cutting behind the chair.
Yeah.
This will require less headaches and you'll be way more profitable initially. What people don't realize, they're not willing to do this because this one is like the
shiny.
Exactly.
Wow.
Lady in the red dress.
There you go.
Oh, these guys are doing it. Let me do it. What you don't realize is, dude, you don't really know the numbers of these people.
No.
Just because on Instagram as someone has 5 shops, what are their profits? Some people are profiting 10 to 15K. You were already doing that before.
With one.
So why don't you think about it? What do you
Yeah.
really want? Because that's another thing I've noticed in this entrepreneurial world, this business world. A lot of people talk about their top line revenue. Oh, I make $1 million a month.
Yeah.
I make $500,000 a month.
Yeah.
I make 100K, 10, whatever.
Yeah.
What are your profits?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I would rather have a business that's leaner, that's way more profitable with way less headaches.
True.
It was this funny thing, again, maybe going a little bit off topic. I was talking to this entrepreneur, and he said there's this new line called the scale bros,
Okay.
where they're killing themselves to have this exit in their business. And this one guy was like, dude, I just got my $30 million exit. He's in the hospital bed.
Yeah, he's dying.
Like, you're dying.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, scale bros, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, but then this guy that I spoke to, he has a family of 2. He's nomad, makes 80,000. His business does about 100. He's like 90% profitable, works 3 hours a day, travels the world. He's like, dude, I have no headaches. I love the people that I bring into my business. He's so strict on who he accepts money from.
Yeah.
His like, he doesn't want all these people to come. He wants specific clients, lives the best life.
I think that just comes down to knowing what life you want.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of guys see that shiny thing. They think they want that life.
Exactly.
Then they see the mountain you got to climb to get to that life. And they're like, nah, bro, I'm good.
Yeah.
But I love the path least chosen. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
You know, so when you talk about sacrifice, risk, I'm going that way.
That's me too,
Right?
yeah.
Because that's the 1%.
Yeah.
Right? So we're going all in kind
But
of
what
thing.
people don't realize, and here's the truth, it's easy for me to say it, and some people are like, I don't care, I'll still do it. Sometimes they just have to go through that.
Always.
Right?
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Because they're like, oh, you see now it's hard, eh?
Yeah,
6 months in. Oh, you
exactly.
don't like
Yeah,
it too
yeah,
much,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Oh, the work you're putting in isn't even worth the 50K a month.
You'd end up realizing the work you did before working for someone, you end up profiting a lot more than now owning your own shop.
100%.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the social marketing now because you've done such a great job, bro. Like I see your content everywhere. It's getting shared everywhere. The engagement on it is crazy. Crisp. Like I see your reel. I know it's your reel.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a style, right? So talk about your social growth.
Yeah.
Because that's exploded too on Instagram, which is not easy to do.
Yeah.
Talk about the steps you took when it came to your personal brand at the beginning, because I know the planning stage is important. What am I about to showcase to all these people? The planning stages, and then also we're gonna get into some more detailed stuff, but the game plan behind your social in general.
Yeah. I mean, first off, this didn't just come from my own head. I had coaches, mentors. Like I had to invest a lot of this money to learn these things. But initially, like anything, I had to learn it first from my own hands before I started delegating it.
Okay.
I have a big team now, but a lot of people jump to conclusions. They get to this last stage when it's like you don't even know what you're doing initially. So how can you delegate when you don't even know? So, what I was doing was when I was in the shop, I'd be cutting and I'd be just like all day would just be shooting the content and then going home and editing it. And I did that, and it was quite difficult because you have 10 haircuts in a day that you're doing, and then you're trying to find time. But dude, I would end up even staying till like midnight to shoot these pieces of content because I knew back then, I started this branding journey, content journey 10 years ago, almost like, I would say 8 to 9 years ago. And I knew back then when branding wasn't that big, where it's like, I knew that I have to put all my eggs in this one thing. I was like, I knew if I kept doing branding and I kept growing my socials, everything else would have been figured out.
Yep.
And it's exactly what I did.
Yep.
I kept learning and wanted to become like the most known or the best socials. I wanted to just understand that game and build that skill set. And I knew that back then. So I think I just got lucky in a sense that I was able to put those efforts in building that up. And then eventually what happened is, when I started building leverage from my brand, making more money, I was like, great, now I can start delegating. Now I can build my team. And now I have a fucking unbelievable team.
So I guess a lot of the growth happened once that point happened.
Yeah.
Because, you said you were going hard for 10 years.
Yes.
But a lot of your growth, I would say, maybe happened the last 12 months.
Exactly.
So I don't think that's lucky, bro. I think that's persistence.
Yeah.
I think you said it. You said at the beginning, I know I got to put all my eggs in branding. And you did that for 10 years, bro.
Yeah.
And it took the 10th year for everything to really skyrocket. Like it was Bitcoin, in 2019 or something, right?
Yep.
So, but talk about the team behind it, because I think that's important. I
Very
think
important.
a lot of people will see you online and say, how the fuck is this guy doing this all?
Yeah.
Right? So talk about the team, how important it's been, and also who you hired first. Like what was the most of importance for you?
My first one was my videographer. That was the most.
Usually,
yeah,
yep.
Of course, yeah. And I think like what people don't realize with hiring hiring in general, right? we don't give enough leeway. We expect when we hire that everything is going to be figured out. I knew when I was going to hire this individual, and it was tough, don't get me wrong, where there was going to be a period of them having to learn my eyes, especially with like hair cutting, the angles and stuff. Like, takes a while for someone to understand what are the angles that I like and whatnot. So it took about 6 months to a year for me now to like shoot the content and not have to worry.
Wow.
But a lot of the times initially it was like, dude, you got to be here. I would like place him. I would like place him in these angles. And yeah, so maybe the first 6 months to a year, I didn't make money from it, right? I didn't grow as much, but it's that saying of like, it took about 10 years, but then it's like that 1 year I blow up, but people don't realize it took about 10 years for me to get to that point. So people give up way too early because they expect like fast results.
Yep.
But what people don't realize, I've been investing in this camera guy. I've been investing in my videographer's editor for the last 2-3 years. Now, all of a sudden, things are working out.
Yep.
And I'm still in the process of learning as well.
Of course. Yeah. So for example, how much do you invest in your team, let's say on a month to month?
About like 10 to 15,000 a month.
Solid amount, right? That's like 3-4 employees probably doing all different tasks. And I guess now you're in this stage where, and I've heard you talk about this too, about constantly reinvesting in your business.
Yeah, bro.
So talk to me about that, because I think people skew that a little bit. I say that all the time. Always reinvest. Invest a lot in your business.
Dude,
right?
yeah. I mean, to be honest, for me, like I say it, and I know sometimes people are like, you're nuts. I would be happy being break even if my business was growing.
Yeah.
Because I know eventually I'll enjoy the fruits of the labor.
Of course.
And I truly believe so strongly that right now in the phase of growth, so I'm putting every dollar I have back into the business, back into my team, and making sure we're all growing.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, it's like I could go the route of leaning myself out, being the coach, making all the money. I could easily do that.
But then you're going the other way though.
And it's another way. And the other thing, I love fucking having a team. I love being with people that I'm able to grow with.
Yep.
You know, I like fucking dream about the things that we're going to be able to do once we get to that position, and having my team around me.
Yep.
So I think a lot of it comes down to being a leader and serving. And I truly feel like that impact I have on people within my team is going to reflect back into my program and my students.
When you enjoy that impact and it's part of your life, you rather have a team than those nice things.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, I could have all the money, but I'd rather not be alone having it, right?
For sure. You know, and it's like, I look at it like, you know, if I buy a Rolex, 50 G's, I could have got a nice editor the whole year.
Yeah. Literally,
I could have got an editor, first of all, that I can change their life.
Yeah.
That could be a long-term employee for me. That could be someone huge.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get a watch?
Yeah.
That's no fun.
Exactly.
You know, me and Anthony have this conversation. People ask us all the time too. It's like, yo, why don't you guys do this?
Get your this. Yeah.
Oh, why'd you guys spend all this money on this? And it's like, that's what matters for us long-term. That's how you build impact. Now, can we lean out, fire everybody?
Yeah.
Be chilling the next couple of years?
100%.
For sure. But then where's the longevity in that?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so what's your plan now? Is it all in on the community?
Yeah.
Do you want to build this community to 10,000?
Dude, I want to build the biggest program in the world. And truthfully, I want my program to be the first licensed hair school in the world.
Okay.
Most hair schools you go to, they're you have to do it in person. You kind of have to, and the problem I find with some of the schools is that their programs are not really setting up the students for success. Like, dude, when people go through our program, but like when they're going through it, like I get messages all the time of people being like, I've been doing this for 20 years. The level of knowledge I've learned within a month is more than I've learned within 20 years.
I know.
So I know the impact we have on people. The only thing is I said it to my boy yesterday. I was like, I got to get in bed with the government or something.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the next step, because if I could get
Sick.
the government to be involved,
True.
game over.
Because then with the licenses and stuff like that, you're saying, right?
And especially in America, like that's kind of the next step for us.
And just also, like, do you notice that your members are from a certain part of the world?
Most of them are from the US, but bro, most, like at this point, it's like, I would say like 40% US, and then it's spread across the world. Like we have countries I didn't even know existed, like islands in Asia, like I didn't even know about. It's pretty international, and that's because of my brand. My brand nurtures a lot of these people.
That's beautiful though.
Yeah.
We're going to do some exercise, but before we get into them, you know, I was looking, I've been watching your page for a while, and I'm like, I can tell someone's fucking motivated when I see them, you know? Because I'm super motivated. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And I'm watching you and I'm like, dude, why is this guy going so hard? What's motivating this guy to go so hard? But you all obviously mentioned, you know, earlier in your life, losing your mother, right? And I couldn't even imagine that, right? So I want to talk about that experience for you, how that's impacted you up until today, because I know it has.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone I meet that is hyper successful or hyper focused or hyper motivated
Had a point in their life.
they had a point in their life like that.
Yeah.
And why I want to talk about it is because it happens to a lot of people, and a lot of them don't take the route you took.
Mm-hmm.
They take the other route,
Mm-hmm.
and they say, "Fuck my life. I'm a victim now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, things don't work out for me. I'm unlucky. I'm unfortunate. This is just life." So talk about the impact that had on you, and talk about why you went that direction instead of saying, "Man, this life sucks. I'm done."
Really good question. And it's funny, I bring this up a lot in like panels and in conversations that I have. Look, if I took the other route, most people would look at me and be like, "Oh, I get it. Like, this guy had a traumatic life. I understand. Like, you know, did drugs, you know, fucked off, was like, you know, a bum, so to speak." People would understand. Like, I get it. Like, his life makes sense. The hard thing to do, and the thing that I think would make my mother proud, was to do something with my life, you know? And I think at the end of the day, I owe it to my mother to make sure that I build the best life I can for myself and my family. So I think that was probably the driving force of like, and I think like, you know, as a kid, I think there's many things that led to that point of me being like, I have to go all in. You know, I got bullied in high school. I was like a bad kid. My family would look at me and be like, "Yeah, this is the one that
The
we
black
don't know.
sheep.
Yeah, the black sheep. We don't know about this, so I don't know if he's gonna make it." And I think it was like a combination of proving it to a lot of people on top of all, you know, the traumatic experiences I've had.
Yeah.
I got to the point where it's like, dude, like this is the bottom of the bottom. How much worse can it get?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Enough is enough. And it was just like these small wins that I was stacking. You know, I was able to, okay, I just went to London. Okay, that's a small win. It's like, did this. And then eventually I built this confidence and I'm like, holy shit. Like, I didn't even realize where I was at.
I know.
And it only, because I'm never satisfied. Like, another reason why I feel like my content gets better, dude, I'm on my phone with my editor being like, that's not good enough. We got to do better. How could you do that? Like, all the time.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm never satisfied, which has led me to this point. It's 10 years of not being satisfied. Like, I always say this and people are like, what do you mean? It's like, you see a lot of people tell me your Instagram posts are amazing, your content's like, dude, I hate them. I don't like them. I feel like this could be way better.
Yeah.
And there has to be this balance and way to do it. But I think that's what drives me.
And it's amazing to me how far that these moments can carry us in life. Like that, like you being bullied still pisses you off today.
100%.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
But, and I always say this to people, like our audience, like, take any fuel you can get. Take it all. If someone pisses you off when you're 15, start with that.
Yeah.
Start with, it's okay to have your driving force be, you want to prove people wrong. You know what I
There's
mean?
nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong. If that's what's going to carry you to the next
Yes.
level, use it.
Yeah.
I've sat down with people 50 years old.
Yeah.
They got bullied when they were 13.
And I think we both, I don't know if you follow Andy Frisella
Of
or
course.
David Goggins, right?
Of course.
He's like, every time like they're at a point where they want to give up, they think about all the people that were hating on them.
Exactly.
And they're like, I'm not letting these motherfuckers win, you know?
All day, bro. And I have it too. Like I've said this before, but I have a list of things that people have said to me
100%.
last 15 years.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think use anything you can to fuel you for you to improve yourself.
Yep. And it could be something small, but if it is something big and something super traumatic, you should definitely look at that as a pivotal point in your life for the good,
100%,
right? Okay, let's do some exercises now.
Let's do it.
Okay, some fun stuff.
All right.
All right. Okay, Alexi, you have $1,000 to your name. No job, but you know being a barber is your future. What's your next move?
No job.
No job, but you got $1,000.
Zero skill.
Zero skill. Starting from nothing.
Nothing.
But you're like, I gotta be a
Do
barber.
I have tools?
No,
No tools.
nothing. You just have the idea. What are you buying first?
Kitchen scissors, bro.
You buying some scissors?
Okay, wait.
$1,000.
Buy my program.
Already selling a program.
Fuck, that's a good one. I actually know what to do.
But you were in a similar position. You said $500.
Exactly.
Fuck.
So this is what I do. Walmart, genuinely,
Okay.
100, 200 bucks. You get yourself a scissor, you get yourself clippers, you get yourself guards. Then what I would do, this, to be honest, 1,000 more than enough.
Okay.
Then what I would do is I would rent a suite. You could probably find one for, let's say, $500, so you're left with 300. And all you need is a cape. Cape is, let's say the suite's 500. That's probably expensive for the month.
Okay.
I'm telling you, you'll be able to make money like this. So you're left with 300, right? 300, you buy yourself a cape and water bottle. That's all you need. So now you have scissors, clippers, tools, everything. Then what you do that single day, you bought everything. You go through your contact list. Everyone has at least 300 names in their contacts. You go free haircut this week to everybody.
Sick.
Then what you do, you get everyone's message you. I'm saying family members, cousins, people you haven't talked to in 30 years, who gives a shit, high school friends. Then what you do, you go on the streets, you start literally talking to people, free haircuts, free haircuts, free haircuts first week. And you fill your schedule. You don't do anything but make sure that schedule, you have at least 10 clients every day for 7 days straight for free. Then when you cut their hair, you get their information and you tell them, I'm giving you a discount for the next one. It's going to be $25. And usually you charge them, so you create urgency. You usually I'm charging 40. This one's going to be 25. And then if you refer a friend, I'll give you a free haircut. Bro, in 2 months, you're fully booked. 3 months. But the problem is no one's willing to do it.
I might even go do that right now after this. No, but there's a key thing you said there. You mentioned the budget quickly. You said, yeah. But then a lot of the other stuff you said is using your time, going on the street, messaging people. It doesn't cost money.
Yeah.
But be resourceful, right? Great answer. Yeah. Your client is sitting in the chair and halfway through the haircut, you mess up the fade and go too high. What's your next move?
I've had this happen to me.
I could imagine.
Okay, so messed up the hair, fade went too high. So obviously, main thing I would do is a refund. And I would, quick thing, as an action item, refund 2 haircuts, refund that one, refund the next one. And just be honest. I think a lot of people shy away from this situation. Like, be honest. Like, hey, dude, look, this is what happened. I want to make sure I'm taking care of you. I could fix it. Like, find a solution, find a way around it. And then I would just offer them a free haircut. Yeah.
Simple solution.
Simple solution.
But a lot of people would actually think past that.
Yeah, 2 haircuts free.
That's a key one.
Yeah.
All right. You post a haircut video on Instagram. It starts to go viral. What's your next step to maximize exposure and convert this attention into business?
Very good question. I would set it up before. Like I do this with all my videos, ManyChat. I don't know if you know it. Yeah. So what people don't know is like with ManyChat now, you get all these contacts, all this list of people that have clicked through ManyChat when you put the automation on. And what you have now is a list of leads that are warm because they've already clicked on the video. They've been engaging through your content where you could just hit up after.
Okay.
What people don't know, it's like, what's your other option for barbers? It's like your contact list usually, or like going on the street and talking to people. But leverage social media. Use that to get your leads that have like already taken the action of like messaging you and contact those people. Those guys are way warmer than the people you're going to go on the street to talk to.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. A high-profile celebrity DMs you for a cut, but they want to fly you out tomorrow, but you already have a full schedule. What's your next move?
I don't really care for celebrities. To be
no,
honest.
you stay fully booked.
I
next
guess
day?
it depends, right? Like if Ronaldo messaged me,
I'm coming too. Yeah.
I would clear my schedule for sure. I guess it depends, right?
True.
I think it's easier said than done. Yeah, if Ronaldo messaged me, everything's done.
Buddy, if Ronaldo messaged me,
I think
everything's
we're all
gone.
Closing shop.
Okay. Oh, this is a touchy one. This is gonna get to a lot of barbers out there. You've been cutting hair for 2 years. Hold on. You've been cutting someone's hair for 2 years and they decide to leave you for another barber. Do you reach out? Do you let go? How do you handle it?
Dude, it's so funny. I literally added this module in my program recently. I think you do it respectfully. You're like, hey, dude, just wanted to reach out. So I guess what's the scenario? Do they know that they left?
They know.
They know. So the barber knows?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that's irrelevant anyways. So yeah, I would message them. I'd be like, hey, dude, just wanted to let you know. Haven't seen you for a while. I appreciate your business for all this time. If anything clears up, if you ever want to come back, let me know. I can't wait to see you again. And that's it.
Nice.
You make it super professional. You don't like clients come and go. Like you're not going to get butthurt over it, but you always want to leave that relationship in a positive way.
It's like a breakup. You want to end it civilly.
Yeah, you end it civilly.
Everyone talks good about each other still. Everyone goes on.
You don't want bad blood because also if that client says something to another barber, then it's like that.
Even if I cheated on you with another barber and then you messaged me and said, bro, listen, like, fucking love you still.
Yeah.
And just let me
Don't
know if there
worry,
was anything
yeah,
wrong. But bro, I'm
exactly.
always here for you. I'd be
Exactly.
like, oh, damn, I shouldn't have left him.
Yeah.
What a nice guy.
Exactly. And they
Right?
come back.
True.
Yeah.
Great answer. Okay. A client sits down and asks for a haircut that you know won't suit their face, shape, or hair texture. Do you give them what they want or convince them otherwise?
Oh man, I'm bad with this.
Yeah, but like you
Yeah,
tell them
so
straight.
I'm at a point, but here's the thing: it comes down to conviction, right? Like if I've never in the last like 2 years, that I've taken, I don't take clients anymore. Whenever I was taking clients, I've never gotten a no,
Okay.
because of the conviction and confidence I have about what I'm saying to them.
Yes.
So a lot of it comes down to you guys not being confident enough in explaining what works best for them. Because here's the truth, guys. They want to be told what to do. They want to be told what to get. You're the professional, but the problem is they've been butchered so many times, they don't trust you.
True.
So you have to build that trust through breaking it down through a fucking proper consultation, through images, like really breaking it down and explaining to them why this is going to work better for them and how they're going to be able to manage that when you're done cutting it.
And I think even with you tell me if this matters, but I think with your personal brand and marketing, that conviction happens
Yes,
easier.
it does,
Because they're
yeah.
like, bro, he's the guy. I'm not going to tell him what's up. Look at his
100%.
socials.
Yeah.
Right?
But to barbers, I want to say one thing.
Yeah.
You could still build that
Yes.
based on how you speak to them.
True.
Like another thing is like I don't have to show my accolades. They could tell by like obviously they see my Instagram, but they could also tell by how I'm communicating with them.
They're like, this guy's a pro. I can
Yeah,
already
he
feel
knows,
it.
yeah.
Yep. A younger barber asks you for advice on getting more clients. What's the first thing you tell them to do?
First thing I would say, more clients. I would say easy. Just go on the streets. I think people don't do that
Really?
enough. Just start building real
Yeah.
relationships. Like quick one would be like go on the street, start talking to people.
I saw one of your vlogs that you were on the streets and you went up to these two kids.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
bro. They're like, yo, how much? You're like $350, and they're like, what? And they're like, no, it's free. Never mind, I got you. But
Yeah.
again, going back to the
the
in-person,
old school way, yeah.
in-person stuff.
Yeah.
Because you go up to, like, if you did that, right? Chances are every person you went up to never had a barber come up to them and do that.
100%.
So all of a sudden they're just like, wait, what?
They don't get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most barbers like, look, Instagram is the fuel, but do the opposite of what most people do.
True.
This concept of talking to people is such a foreign thing for
Of
people
course.
these days. It's like, dude, go up to someone, be like, you like your hair. I like their hair. I would love to cut it.
Yeah.
What do you think they're gonna say?
Of course. Then they find your Instagram.
Yeah,
Then everything's,
exactly.
of course. Okay. I think that's it for the exercise. But now I'm going to ask you to manifest something, okay? So we ask all our guests to manifest something on this show, something you want to come to life in the next 3, 5, 10 years. Look at the camera. Tell them what you want to manifest because we're going to come back, clip this.
Wow.
When it happens, we're going to do a nice post and say, look, he said it.
Okay.
It happened.
Okay, give me a minute. I gotta
Yeah,
think
do your
about
thing,
this.
bro.
Wow, that's a powerful one.
Yeah. And be as detailed as possible, obviously.
Yeah,
you know?
usually you have to.
You have to.
All right, the one thing okay. So 8 months from now, I want to take my team to Monaco, rent a yacht for the weekend. We haven't had a trip yet with my team, and it's been mentioned for the last 2 years that this was going to happen. So this coming September, October, my team's going to be in Monaco with me. Champagne. Everyone's going to have rented their own cars. We're going to have Lambos, Ferraris, you name it. Everyone's going to have their own vehicle. We're going to be there for a few days, and the business at that point would have already made $500K a month.
Damn.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm on your team, by the way. So when your team's going to Monaco,
yeah.
I'm on your team. Just
Yeah.
remember that. Okay, I'm excited for that. That's in 8 months, so that's
8
close.
months, yeah,
that's
man.
close.
8 months from now.
Okay, we're going to do some rapid fire now, okay?
Let's do it, bro.
True or false? The strongest way a barber can differentiate themselves is through social media marketing.
Yes.
True.
True.
True or false? You need to have a barbershop in order to be a successful barber.
False.
Who's one person you'd want to cut in the future?
Ronaldo.
What's your biggest pet peeve with clients?
Pickiness.
What's the most you've ever charged for a cut?
1,000.
What's your go-to pair of clippers?
Magic clip.
Love it. Biggest red flag in a client?
If they smell bad.
I would say so, yeah. What's one thing about the barbering industry that most people don't realize?
Wow, that's a good one. How professional it really is and how much people really invest into their craft.
Who would you say is the GOAT of the barber industry right now?
Josh LaMonica.
What's the craziest thing a client's asked you to do?
Oh, dude, so much. You know what a South Side fade is? It's like a fade that starts from like
And
the
then when
top
they're
of the
bald
head.
and,
Yeah.
oh, I've
Forward.
seen that.
Yeah. I'll show
okay.
you a picture after.
Okay.
So dumb.
I've also wait. You're not talking about the bald and then the mullet.
That too I've done.
I've
I've
seen
seen
one.
some.
That one's crazy. Last question before our final question: money or fame?
Money.
Smart man. Alexi, final question: does money buy happiness?
Absolutely.
Easy.
Jeez.
That's it, eh?
Yeah.
Easy stuff?
Absolutely. Yes.
What's money done for you?
Honestly, for me, money buys happiness because it's allowed me to invest more into my business. It's allowed me to have the freedom I've wanted. It's allowed me to invest back into my team, and it's created more opportunities for me. You know, it's created leverage, and for me, that is freedom, which then, in my opinion, is happiness.
You are correct.
Yeah.
I just looked at my notes and you are correct, by the way. Thank you for coming on the show, brother.
Of course, bro.
Appreciate you.
Yes.
Wish you all the success.
Thank you.
We got to collab a bit more in the
100%.
future. And when you plan that Monaco trip,
Yeah, I'll let you know. Yeah, I'll let your team know as well.
because
Yeah.
that's our team is your team
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I
We
just
just
manifested
collab.
that.
Yeah.
Actually, let me manifest that. I will be in Monaco too in 8 months. Appreciate you. Anyone
course.
watching this, make sure you guys subscribe. Go check him out though. I'm gonna drop all his socials below.
Yeah.
If you're a barber, there's no one better to learn from right now. So check him out. Appreciate you guys tuning in. See you guys next time.
Take care, everybody.